You're listening to the Unreasonable Fridays Podcast Network.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to an episode of AddSpace. I'm your host, Aaron Rand Freeman. But with me, we have the CEO, CFO, head therapist, lead custodian, head artist, social media manager, travel czar, and activity coordinator. Elise Bacon.
What's under the activity coordinator?
Hey, you gonna get Warhammer? I don't know. Congratulations, you got the job, Bacon.
I just wanted to know what it was. That's all. Since I've got all these titles, I figured I'd put them on my resume, and I just need to know what I'm putting on my resume.
So it's
So when I go apply for those other podcast jobs that are like may or may not pay, if I really want to up my exposure, I have it on the resume. Okay, that's really. I just want to make sure I've got all my I's dotted and my T's crossed.
You know what is funny about? let me see something here. Hold on, I just saw it. Let me see. Where did I just see it? GTA 6. Forgot the name of the song.
This is in the podcast Discord. General.
The song that they offered $7,500 for, full stop, no royalties.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's in the podcast. Okay, then it's already there. Yeah. My favorite bit was they had offered let me grab the specifics here.
I think my favorite thing is when I make a joke and you immediately pick up what I'm referencing it to. And I just think that is an example of beautiful friendship and podcast chemistry.
Agreed. Heaven 17 singer Martin Ware has told Rockstar to go fuck yourself. They offered him $7,500 no royalties for the song Temptation. And
they can go fuck themselves for that.
You can't go fuck yourself. Yeah, it's worth $10 billion. My favorite bit, and this is what always gets me, is the amount of people who will tell you to take less on the internet or stick up for a corporation that would more than likely have you killed and cover it up than acknowledge you're a humanity publicly. There's no reason why he should be getting $7,500 flat for his hit song for a game that will exist for 10 years and generate billions of dollars.
I'm not gonna lie, like I don't take Twitter as seriously as I used to, but I mean there's no reason to. But this to me is a really good sign of how Twitter's garbage, like completely gone downhill. Because pre-Elon, there would be people fighting each other in the comments. Right. over this instead of the hordes of you should just take the money, how dare you, right, whatnot all. And it's just because it's all just like it's just bots and alt-right folks and right, people who are lonely and just throwing their loneliness out on the internet through rage and terrible writing skills.
Yeah.
So like but before, it's not that you wouldn't have people who would be telling him to go take it and that he should be grateful. It's just that there's a distinct lack of other people telling those people to go fuck themselves.
Agreed.
And that was the content generation, was people arguing in the comment threads. Now it's not people arguing in the comment threads anymore.
Yeah, it is just terrible people running down one person, and then all the reasonable people are somewhere else talking about it.
Right. And so, like, I just, like, every time people are like, oh, people are upset on Twitter, I'm like, that doesn't mean what it used to mean.
No, not at all, no.
Like it just doesn't mean the same thing. And that is something I want people to understand is like, don't take Twitter outrage the same way we used to take Twitter outrage. And we didn't even used to take Twitter outrage that seriously either.
I'm going to, because you haven't been on in so long, we're about to just step into a whole conversation about my fear that the wrong companies are taking the Twitter outrage seriously and then like kowtowing to like the wrong group of people potentially. But that is a fear. But also that's later on in the show. Also, you need to, it's been several months. We're here now. So, but we're not just appearing now and acting like nothing happened. That's really toxic. You deserve an explanation.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that.
So,
long story short, and I'll get into the longer story of it. I have a chronic illness, which listeners who are a long time, those of you who are still left, hi, I love you. Please continue supporting us. I love you. Thank you forever. Like, no, seriously. I am chronically ill, and essentially what happened is I got very sick over the entire summer. There's a lot of things that all collapsed and collided on each other. I have MECFS, which is the abbreviation for chronic fatigue syndrome. It has a much longer name. Please look it up if you want details. Actually, not even if you want details, just please just look it up. It's one of the most underdiagnosed like illnesses in everywhere. I'm not even joking. People don't know enough about it, and with COVID, more people absolutely have it than we think. And to get you like to understand like the series of it, I have the mild version. I have it mild. I don't have it severe. I fluctuate between mild to moderate, and that's kind of terrifying because the severe end of it means like you literally need a machine to help you eat. Because you cannot swallow. So essentially what it is, it's like a whole thing with my body, my nervous system. They don't know exactly what it is, or what causes it. It's known, like they know that it's a post-viral condition. It can also, like in my case, be caused from severe stress. Yes, severe stress can make you permanently sick. But essentially, I just don't have any energy, like at all. And when I overdo it, I get really ill. And it turns out I probably also have another thing which is compounding it called POTS, which is postural tachycardia, orthostatic syndrome. Remove some of those letters, which basically means that my autonomic system is borked. What the fuck is that? That's a lot of big words. Our brain controls a lot of stuff that we don't actively think about, like breathing and our heart rate and other stuff, you know? And that part of my body is broken. We don't know exactly what is broken, but it's something. And so I have issues with blood flow through my body. The only ways to like make this better are through like exercise and lots of salt in your diet. But I can't exercise because I have chronic fatigue syndrome. So all exertion, including just sitting up at my chair, can make me really sick. It's great. So what also happens is apparently heat does not get along well with POTS. The heat makes your blood vessels expand. So I've spent the entire summer with my heart rate at like over 120, which was then triggering my post-exertional malaise, which was making me really sick. And I had school all summer as well. So because I live in this, I don't know if anything what I'm saying makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I don't know if it would make sense to the average listener. But the long story short of it, I spent this summer very, very sick.
I mean, you explain it. You explain it very well. I can't imagine. The only issue someone would have is if they're not trying to hear it, but that's them, not you.
Yeah, well, it's also like I think people also misunderstand like when I say like I'm tired, they don't like they don't understand or like I don't have energy. They think of it like, "Oh, you're just like,
Um,
like when you're up late tonight, up
right,
all night." But no, it's I literally can't get out of bed in the morning. Like
right.
I'm like I can like get to the bathroom and that's all I have in me. That's it. I don't even have energy to make food or any of that. And then of course this gets compounded by the fact that I do have seasonal affective disorder and it does hit once May starts. So, cuz I have summer sad. So
Mm,
summer is apparently now the worst time of year for me. And I did not I mean I knew it was bad, but like I this is my first time where the I've been this affected by the heat. I've never been this affected by the heat ever, including like last summer and like I had CFS last summer. I had no idea. Like so I'm sitting here, I basically sitting upright is basically there's just not enough blood going to my brain.
mm,
So I have the combination of like, oh, I'm too exhausted to function and I don't have enough blood going to my brain.
mm.
Um and I know a lot of people will be like, well, why don't you just quit podcasting? Why don't you just quit doing this? I, or, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, well, I don't want to,
Why
is
would?
is
Why?
really the answer for that.
Typically, if you're listening and that's your default, that's a personal issue again. Don't say that to anyone. Stop saying that to people. Like, just we're saying that to you. If that's your default, stop telling people to do that.
Yeah. Well, like, and I think it's one of those things where some people might even mean it like more well meaning. Like, why don't you stop so you can take care of yourself? And it's
It,
like, well, the thing is like, this isn't going away.
after,
Like, there's no,
yeah,
I, well, people don't understand because they don't live in this experience, so they don't realize that some of the things I've already had to give up are like working. Like I literally cannot work. I cannot hold a job.
right. And it's one of
Um
those things where after a certain age, whatever short term solution you have thought of has already been sorted out. Like when someone's like, 18 and they have a chronic illness, 22, 24, 25. When we're near 40, we're nearing 40, are 40. You've already thought of all this and tried to shave down as much as you can to be able to navigate what's going on. You have thought of it. You have tried it. So like,
right. Well, and it's like, well, like again in the people who it's not even just that they just can't envision what this kind of life is like. They just don't know. Like I said, I literally cannot work, and not even just can't work. I can't do some of the stuff I want to do. Like I want to go out and see people and hang out with my friends, and I literally can't because I physically don't have the energy to. It's not there. I like almost all of my socialization right now is done like online through my Final Fantasy 14 friends and hanging out in like Discord voice chats. Like I and again like through school I'm taking online classes only. It's all everything's asynchronous. But that is like all of my socialization. I rarely get to see anybody in person and it fucking sucks. So it's like anything that I can keep is something I want to keep doing, even if I have to try and figure out another way around it. So, like, Aaron and I have already talked about it. We're gonna try keeping the podcast going, as as long as as long as we want to. We are gonna probably try and pick up a backup host if I like can't be here just for like more consistency, but it like I don't want to stop podcasting. I'd be upset. Um and I will state this and I state this to everybody. Your job isn't fucking worth it. Like I'm just stating this right now. I say it all the time. But like if you're one of those people who's like, I'm gonna put in all these long hours, I'm gonna put in all this stress, I'm telling you, it is not worth it because that's literally how I got here.
Yep.
Like, not actually an exaggeration. This is how I got here. There are more important things in life than your job. Like, and I know there's like survival and money, and survival is a complicated thing, but the best you can figure out yourself around it while putting yourself first is like the thing you need to do.
Yeah. We all have a price. Yours is probably more than what you're charging usually. So it's kind of in the same vein of people who are telling this man to take $7,500 for his hit song that will generate billions of dollars. They're like, oh, $7,500 and increased exposure is a deal. Again,
exposure for somebody who doesn't even fucking need it.
Didn't need it. But yeah, is you don't remember you're underselling yourself 9 times out of 10. So choosing yourself first, even if it feels strange, is the right choice. Especially now in this capitalist hellscape, they just actively don't care about you and openly state it. They legislate.
Yeah, your job does not care about you. Your job doesn't care about you. The companies that you give your money to also don't care about you.
Right.
So there ain't no reason to cape for nobody.
Right.
Outside of your homie who helps you with rent. That's different.
Well, that person cares about you. If I came into several $billion, then that line would get blurred, because then I guess I would have to have other employees that aren't you and then treat them terribly and then treat you warmly for balance. So it'd just be like conflicting reports. Like it would just be pure Amazon warehouse for like 99% of the people that like aren't you. And then, just to keep up, just like the power corrupts absolutely. So I assume as soon as I get $1 billion, I'm turning heel. Like immediately, like a Spider-Man villain, like what's happening to me? And thunder and lightning, and all of a sudden now.
Sorry,
I've got 5,000.
you said turning heel, and I am just back into Final Fantasy 14.
Well, you're doing the pro wrestling thing, so it's all back.
Yeah, that's why.
It's all back into pro wrestling.
I cannot talk about the new expansion very much because Justin, fuck him. I love you, Justin. I love you so much. But fuck him is not through the story yet. He took a long break. He deserves that break. He 100% deserves that break. But I need to talk to him about the story, and I can't until we do the story. But I am talking about the raid series. Fuck you. I'm talking about the raid series. I love you. Yeah, the raid series which I've been in is all wrestling themed. All of it. It is all wrestling themed, full of Japanese wrestling tropes specifically. And one of the bosses is absolutely a heel.
I guess for those who might be scratching their head, a heel is a bad guy. A face is a baby face is a good guy in professional wrestling. A heel is a bad guy in professional wrestling.
Okay, that's actually really funny. That's the good guy is a baby face because I play a Lalafell.
That's right.
So my little Lala in all of the cutscenes, that makes it really funny.
Yes, now you are literally a baby face. Yeah.
I'm literally a baby face.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, no, it's great. Like he's like even in like the middle of the fight, like he's doping up. He's bringing illegal substances into the arena. It's basically like an energy drink. I'm not even lie, but like there's a debuff on the boss, and it's called doped up.
Shout out to Vince McMahon. By the way, I feel like all those references are shot at Vince McMahon, but that's not. I don't know.
Some of them are absolutely.
I don't know enough about Japanese wrestling. They might have their own steroid issue. I know nothing about, but I feel like all doping professional wrestling references are a shot at Vince McMahon. But please continue.
It was really funny because when we also got to that boss, there was like a little cut scene, and one of my friends was just like, "Oh, here we go. Here's the boss for the straights," and then like immediately after he said it, there's like a huge like zoom in on the boss's like crotch and like a bulge, and we're like, "Never mind, it's for the gays."
That is the I imagine that's the entire. To be clear, does that game have any content for the straights?
I'm sure there is, but
So
I
then
feel like
no.
I feel like they at some point understood that the base is really gay and really horny,
Um,
and they just started leaning into it.
I mean that is how you that's how you hold your subscriber base. You locate and super serve your audience. Yeah.
Oh, they are so super serving the audience. Like there's definitely I'm like this was for the queers. Absolutely.
I mean,
Uh
to be clear, professional wrestling, like,
is
uh,
super gay.
it is not as heterosexual as some wrestling fans would have you believe. So yeah, it's
The
very very
way I have to have you talk with Sana.
shockingly homoerotic in a way. And my favorite bit about professional wrestling fans is there are those that will miss this bit aggressively, and there will be like whole gay storylines that aren't women, just men, and they'll just be like, "Oh, they're bros. Oh, the loyalty. I love the loyalty in the family." I'm like, bro, I think I told you this story. Um, about many years ago when I think like there was at a pay-per-view, and Kenny Omega is a wrestler and Kota Ibushi is a wrestler. They were the Golden Lovers. They were like literally the Golden Lovers. They would kiss before their matches in Japan. And like Kenny Omega is famously unattached and Kota Ibushi is famously unattached, and they did like this pay-per-view, and them and everyone responsible for the pay-per-view came out. They came out with their wives, and Kenny came out with Kota. That's it. And people online were like, "Oh, I love the loyalty, the bros, bro." And I'm like, "Guys, please. Please." Yeah, that's the type of relationship you have. That's family. That's loyalty. I love you, Kenny. I'm like, gentlemen, please. Anywho,
Yeah, my favorite thing that my homie Sana will do is she'll post like clips of wrestling. She'll do the two different memes. And one's a variation of the other. She'll post the wrestling is super real clips. And then she'll post the wrestling is super straight, and it's some of the gayest shit.
oh yeah, 100%.
She's like, look how straight wrestling is.
Yeah. Japanese wrestling has an old man named Hiroshi Tanahashi, who's the most beautiful man.
I love him.
He is the most beautiful man.
If they don't put him in the Raid series, I'm going to be so upset.
You'll be able to know if they have any homage to him. You'll be able to know immediately. He's so beautiful, and it's such a state secret. Did I ever tell you the story of the person who took a picture of him while he was at the salon? Because he would rent out the salon and get his hair done by himself in a salon in Japan. Someone took a picture, and not only was that person frowned upon, but like Japanese like wrestling Instagram descended on this person for upending the sanctity of this man's beautification routine. Like, we all know he's beautiful. How he becomes beautiful is officially not our business as Japanese citizens. The audacity for you to break the sacred trust of this man's hair washing routine.
I follow his Instagram, and he'll be like taking pictures like he'll be like in the chair, and he's like, it's time, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what it looks like when you're out.
Right, it's time. It's not your business. No, it's not.
I also love seeing him. He also posts a lot of pictures of himself in an apron.
Yes.
and he's got so many different kinds, and they're all frilly, and I love him.
Yes, no, he's leaned into being a beautiful Japanese zaddy. He's leaned into it. All the way, fully, almost parallel to the ground, like Michael Jackson, and yeah, it's very amusing to see.
I love him. I'm so sad he's married, but I'm happy for his wife.
I mean, listen, that man is going to keep up with his appearance until he is 80 years old, so at least you don't have to worry about that bit. Of nothing else, he might be insufferable, might be annoying, but at least when he walks in the door, he's gonna smell like lavender and sage or something every time he walks through the house, and that's superb. If nothing else, be beautiful. If nothing else. But
I'm
yes,
so excited.
But yes, you're doing a pro wrestling series in Final Fantasy.
Yes, I'm doing the raid series is all pro wrestling. Like it's all, like it's specifically designed as pro wrestling. There's an announcer. The announcer comments when you die. Or if you take a hit that's too hard. It's really funny. And then if you get res, they're like, oh, and they're back in the arena. Like, or it'll be like, oh, it's a close call, but they're not giving up. Also, there's a comment when you use a limit break. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Well, we will.
Oh, I still love it during the Brute Bomber. That's the one with the heel because he's like there's this one part where because there's also like a little robot who's like the referee, and the motherfucker punches the referee, and the announcer's just like, he's just punched the referee. How dastardly.
Listen,
it's so funny. I made Aaron watch my whole fight when I was clearing it in Savage.
It does flow like a professional wrestling match in an anime, and I really, really like it. It's really funny. I'm not gonna lie, I was
the enrage is also hysterical.
Thoroughly amused. But
yeah.
So I have a question. So how long do you have to wait for it to unlock new wrestlers for you to
Oh, it's gonna be 7.2. It's gonna be months.
Oh. How many wrestlers totally, or is it like not going to end?
I don't know.
Mm.
So the way it works out is with the raid series is that the raid series is one entirely long storyline. And that storyline is broken up into 3 parts. And each part has 4 fights to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the fights are all the fights are part of the storyline. So the way that this is working, and I can't get too much into detail because again, this is going to get into huge spoiler territory for Justin. But the way it's working is that we are going in knowing that we're going to be fighting, and we are fighting a set number of challengers, and the first match part is called the light heavyweight.
Right.
The lightweight. So like the next one is probably going to be the medium one.
Right.
And then the last one's probably going to be like, the heavyweight. So that's what we're assuming. And so I don't know what those fights are going to look like because again, there's a whole storyline. So like the last boss of this raid series wasn't even a pre-announced character. They were one that showed up and was just like, fuck you, give me the goods. And we're like, no. And the ref is just like, oh, because you know how in wrestling there's like a whole story arc.
Yes,
it's following the wrestling story arc. Where like say like somebody stole something from somebody else, or they're trying to they're trying to get all powerful or whatnot all. So like the last boss was like they were a character that we met, but we didn't know that we were going to be fighting them, and we didn't know we were going to fight them in the fourth fight at all. And then yeah, we had no idea.
So there was unannounced. He literally just had somebody else come to run into the ring and interrupt everything that was going to happen. And
yes, and they're a former contender too.
I like this.
Yeah, they're a former contender who just like showed up, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's the old champion!"
I like this. I like this quite a bit.
Yeah, I as the second it's in New Game Plus, I will play it for you, and I will force you to sit down and watch it because you really need to see it. It's so funny.
Listen, I'm here for it. I'm just trying to think. So there's still, that's all you can talk about Final Fantasy without Justin here, or without Justin.
I cannot, because there's a lot of roasting that I need to do, and I can't do it without Justin. And I need Justin to be part of the roasting.
Well, he's on his break. How long is his break gonna last? Is he almost done with his break?
He's back. He's officially back.
Okay, is he back and playing the game?
He's back and mostly playing the game. He's a family man. He's got stuff to do.
He's not lingering on the game.
He has been showing up, like one of our sprouts. I love our little sprouts. One of our sprouts just did the last trial of Endwalker last night, and Justin's like, "I'm in. Put me in, coach."
Right.
Because they were asking if anybody could help him with the last trial, and Justin's like, immediately, "I'm there," and he logged in not 30 minutes.
That's inherent drama to me when like adults are ready to game out of nowhere, and like all of a sudden everything is there. Like my Destiny group is kind of broken down off the back of just like I going to school. Like the two adults in the group are going to school and like trying to perform career advancement respectively. And so often, like, there'll be like 4 or 5 of us on, and it's just an amazing thing when everybody can get on. And it's just high drama. It's very funny. It's inherent narrative and gravitas when the person who's only got 1 hour is on for 1 hour to do one thing. I kind of love that. This is when the dad throws off his jacket. He's got the armor on, ready to go. So, all right. Well, we will give Justin time to dissect the new expansion story. And, yeah. In the meantime, we will play a little bit of catch up. What is catching your eye? Since you have things and I have things.
So I have been trying to stay away from the games release lists because I have no money and I need to focus on school. But September is reliably the worst time of year for me for my games specifically. But luckily for me, there's been a lot of studio drama, so a lot of shit's been pushed back. Thank you fucking God. But as you've said, there was Space Marines, which people have been trying to get me to play.
I'm leaning into Warhammer. I need to, because I realized my first introduction to Warhammer was in high school when the local Nazis played Warhammer. So that was how I found out what Warhammer was from my high school racist group. So I thought Warhammer was for racists. A lot of the niggas, we all thought that, Warhammer is for the white kids. Okay. And I held that for decades. Like, I didn't realize that Warhammer until I met Jarrett years ago, and he liked Warhammer, and I'm like, but you black, what? And then, it's shocked.
You're a whole Negro, Jed. What do you mean?
And what do you mean? And then he started, and I've just been kind of trying to figure out what would pop open my general enthusiasm. I like them. There was a indie, like a small scale boomer shooter called Balkan that was very good. But like Space Marine is like the big thing that's attracting all the casual Warhammer fans, and I'm gonna be on that casual Warhammer fan train. Probably gonna pick it up at some point. Not for $100. Like early access is $100, and I was like, I don't like Warhammer enough for $100. But so yeah, I think so. Also, in a very entertaining note, Erica wanted to do a relationship podcast, and while we play games, be on Twitch and playing games. And I think the first game that they want to play is us talking about relationships while playing Warhammer and ripping monsters apart, which would just be very amusing. So yeah, it's Warhammer. I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of indie games that say 2024. There are like 8 of them, and I'm like, when are you coming out? And they're like 2024, and I'm like, cool, we're running out of 2024. Can you narrow it down?
Hyper Light Breaker.
Yes, Hyper Light Breaker. So also they're remastering the original. Remember that The Thing game? The game about The Thing? Yeah, they're remastering that, and they won't say when it's coming out. They're just like September, and I'm like sitting there. I gotta protect my wallet. I'm like, we'll win. I don't know if you ever played Tormented Soul. You didn't play Tormented. It's a survival horror game. Yeah, that game is also getting a sequel in 2024. They announced it like recently. They're like, it'll be out in 2024. I'm like, can you guys be more sick? You literally just announced it a month ago. Could you be more specific? They're like, no. And then they drive away. So I'm just like waiting for these games to appear. And it's like that across the board. Aside from like the large scale releases, the Warhammers, apparently the Astrobot game is getting very good reviews. The Sony mascot game.
Yes, it is.
I didn't realize how much I was like. I was raised PlayStation. I didn't realize, like, as a young person, I didn't care much for Nintendo, but I realized I was actually raised by like the place back when PlayStation and Sony used to, like, when they were first on like the Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, God of War, when they were trying any and everything. There was like a nice window of time there, like when the PlayStation 2 happened, where they were just trying stuff. That is what raised me. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's lurking for you. I just know there are a lot of things lurking for me that have no proper release date. The game just exists, and I have to be ready.
Yeah, no. Out of the indie games, I'm waiting for Hyper Light Breaker, who, like, because I fucking love Heart Machines games. Like, for those who don't know, that would be Solar Ash and Hyper Light Drifter. They also have another one that's also announced, like, to be announced, that's called Possessors. And that one's supposed to be 2025. But Hyper Light Breaker is supposed to be Q3 of 2024, which is now.
So if it helps any, they have pushed it back officially to 2025, so you're safe.
Which one?
Hyper Light Breaker.
Oh, thank you, God.
Got officially pushed back, yes. So you're free.
Thank you, God. Yeah, no, I think a lot of games are getting pushed back, and I am very excited for it. I'm always excited when games are getting pushed back because it gives me more time to just like dick around. Also, I'm gonna be moving into just raid logging for Final Fantasy 14. Because a new ultimate raid is gonna be coming out probably at the end of the year.
I have a question.
What's up?
Where would the story of Final Fantasy have to go and end for you to consider not playing? Like, So in Destiny, the final shape came and went. And I realized that is the culmination of the story that they've been trying to tell since like the very first messy details of Destiny, before they even understood what they were trying to do. They told it. And now like we're in like the epilogue. Like we're getting stories that would effectively be like the novels of Destiny right now. You know what I mean? And they're not bad at all. But like in my heart, now that I've seen the end of the story, beginning to end, I'm like, oh, and my desire.
Does that mean you're going to play Final Fantasy?
No, I'm not grinding another game. I'm old. I do not know.
You should play Final Fantasy. It will not take long to get caught
I mean,
up.
if you just want me to just run around, you just like might want my presence just to be floating around. Yes, I mean, if you just want me to be around on Final Fantasy,
I want you to play the game, even if it's just casually. You can play the game casually, Aaron.
So, I mean, that's a whole other question about perfectionism. And it's like if I can't put it in, if I can't put the time in to be effective across the board, then I don't. This is also why I do not.
But that's just it. Is like you can and be casual. You're hyping yourself up over something you don't have to hype yourself up for. It's literally not a game you have to hype yourself up for. It's very respectful of your time.
Maybe it's on my Xbox. It's there. It's on.
I know it's there.
It's on my Xbox.
You are. I've got. Yeah. We could literally play a game together.
That would be nice. I mean, I'd just be running around. I'd just be running around making heart emojis. Just my character just making heart symbols with my hands. Eventually, you get sick of it.
I literally have another character on Dynamis that I could go through the story with you on.
I mean, it might be time. Yeah, it might be time. The actual narrative, like a lot of narratives for Destiny, including like personal narratives. So like, even like finding decent people to play with that I like as a person is like nice, like to end the story with people I actually like hanging out with and talking to every day, and like actually like enjoy doing the content with. So it's like the reason why I was there, and I always tell people I'm here, like in Destiny, I'd always be like, I'm here for the story. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, I'm not here because I'm lonely. I'm not the lonely male gamer looking for like a conversation surrogate thing. Like, I'm not doing that. And I'm not confused. I don't have a point to prove. I'm 41. I'm here for the story. I'm here. When this story ends, there's a good chance that I'm going to start winding it down, and here we are. So
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it'll just be when I get the I'm done feeling.
Well, that's what I was wondering, right? So like, is the story of Final Fantasy a continuous universe like Marvel, or is it like, that's one thing about Destiny I think people forgot, was Destiny's telling one story and it told it. But is Final Fantasy telling one story, or is it telling several?
That's a complicated question. So the answer to both are yes. It is telling one story, and there's lots of stories within that story. However, that story that it was telling, the one actually ended with Endwalker. It actually ended in 6.0. And then they tied up every narrative loose end from 6.1 through 7.0. Like 7.0 was the beginning of a completely brand new story. Actually, it's 6.58 was the patch that they started the story for this new expansion, Dawn Trail. Dawn Trail is an entirely new story.
Oh, so the final shape already happened effectively.
Yes.
Oh.
That was 6.0, and they spent the entire patch content, because there's always stories in the patch content.
Right.
They spent the entire patch content wrapping up pretty much every loose thread, because there are so many stories throughout that it was telling throughout the 10 years. It's like 10 years of stories.
Right. That's what the final shape is doing right now. Okay.
And they all revolved around I would say they all revolved around a specific narrative. However, this new story takes the Warrior of Light, the character, and kind of like removes it as the central focus of the stories. So now we go from being the participant to an observer.
Oh.
So we're observing a new story while also participating in it, but like it's not about us.
So I realize what you're also describing to me is the continuing upkeep of a game with proper management.
Yeah. It's literally the only reason Square Enix is making any money right now.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Bungie is the opposite of this. They've been burning money and then through mismanagement. And
it still cracks me up the gaslit Sony.
They well, to be clear,
also Sony let themselves get gaslit.
Remember I said Sony got drunk, got on Tinder one night, and wound up acquiring Bungie because Microsoft.
Yeah, that's literally what they just like. They woke up. They woke up and went fuck.
Right, and now they're finding out. They went over to Bungie and they're like, "You live like this, nigga," and so now Sony's trying to help them clean it up, but like Bungie has been mismanaged the entire time, and there were 2 rounds of mega layoffs. But also, they just straight up lied to Sony, misrepresented what they are, what their reach was, how much they're worth, and what they're capable of doing entirely. So now we're like, they're having to pare down Destiny. Like, for the foreseeable future, there's probably not going to be another big DLC like the Final Shape, because they cost a lot of money but don't generate a lot of money. So now we're in the smaller scale novel stories, which again, I don't particularly mind. The players are panicking. I also think Destiny players are going through the stages of grief because their story ended and because, gamers don't handle these emotions and things well. There's a lot of like freaking out about the wrong things. The thing you should be freaking out about is 1, the management of Bungie has cost hundreds of people their jobs when it didn't need to be this way. And processing your own grief. The story's over, and the possibility that your game might not exist in a few years. Your game you enjoyed will not exist in the way that you prefer it. There won't be big DLCs. There won't be they'll be using the tools they have for a while they, either get slowly processed into the Sony minds, or I don't know, sort out their relationship. Sony themselves had a live service initiative. Like I said, they did not want to do anything for their live service initiative. They just wanted one. So they just said, okay, it's time for live service things to happen. Live service guys, whatever it is you do that. We got some hits like Helldivers, which I tried to ruin. We've got some mixed things like finding out Bungie in fact does live like this. And then we have the grand failure, which is the grand failure of Sony specifically as manager of talent, developer, and art. Concord out for a robust 14 days after a year of feedback that gamers do not want to play this. A year of feedback. They introduced it a year ago lightly, and people were like, nah, I don't think I want to do another hero shooter. And then they introduced it again, and people were like, what? It's
also like, what, didn't it start development in 2016?
Yes.
And it's not even just as a hero shooter. When they were showing it, it was super dated. Like, it feels like playing a 2016 hero shooter, and it is officially 2024. You have to do something different.
So the worst thing is the game plays really well. It actually plays like Destiny, and it plays like Destiny to me. Like, and that's the thing. Somebody else will tell you it plays like their favorite first-person shooter because a lot of the veterans of those companies went and made the game. So the game actually plays really, really well. It always has. It just so happens to existed in a format that nobody wanted to play the shooter in. We didn't want to play a hero shooter. We wouldn't have mind playing this game because, again, everyone was like, oh, this feels good, but I don't want to do it in this format. It's like, I don't want to eat this sandwich. This is a very fine meal you've made. You've prepared it on the hood of a car on a hot day. I don't want to eat it in this format. If you can make it in a restaurant with proper silverware and plating, I would love to have this and would even pay you for this. And Sony persisted with preparing the meals on the hood of their car on 150.
Also, were they trying to make it just a Sony exclusive?
It is a Sony exclusive.
Which you can't have a hero shooter be an exclusive?
You can, but what you need to do is time it right. 1, advertise it correctly. 2, and include it as part of the very base of your subscription service for Sony. It needs to be almost free, so that when you play PlayStation, you have an opportunity to play Concord, so that everybody with a PlayStation can just hop on Concord and just be on it. You're not wrong. It is suboptimal to start with. You're making your shooter a console exclusive, yes. But again, these are things that this is Sony setting up a team of dedicated professionals to fail, and they actually did a very good job. Concord is about 5 patches and 2 balance patches away from being really, really enjoyable across the board. It's not far away as a game you play. That experience being extremely playable and enjoyable. But Sony marched it out into the firing squad in all of the ways to irritate. They marched it out in almost antagonistically. Marched it out to into the firing squad. And yeah. The live service initiative is, we had said initially that this isn't real because Sony doesn't care about online games. Outside of Helldivers kind of catching lightning in a bottle, they still don't. They don't know how online games work. They don't seem to care how online games work, which is also a thing. And they don't care what the audience is.
Which is also weird because, like, remember when I said that when Sony announced that they were going to do live service and I laughed?
Yeah.
And remember what I said is, like, they don't have the infrastructure and they have to spend the money to build the infrastructure, and I don't see them doing that.
Right.
And then they didn't, and now they're shutting down live service because they realized it was a mistake because they didn't want to do the thing. They want to do the thing that gets the money, but they don't want to spend the money to get themselves money.
I think.
And I feel like that's been Sony's business model since the beginning.
So, I think once the ability for them to make money off the $450 million single player game ran out, that's over. Like that, the days of making your money back on that are over.
Which is weird to me because, like, they're very big on we're going to do whatever Microsoft doesn't do to be successful, right?
Right.
But there's a reason that Microsoft stopped doing the exclusives thing. They did it entirely with 360 and they lost money. Was the 360 wildly successful? Yes. But did they lose shit tons of money through the exclusivity? So much money.
Also, I mean, I try not, now that I'm on a sneaky game restoration kick. Like, I'm going back and getting old games and learning the story of some of these old games. And like, and looking at the actual reception of some of this, like when Microsoft was trying to do the Sony thing, they were really putting their heart into it. And there were so many really interesting games. Like, there were like shooters and arcade games and fighting games and RPGs that are the games that gamers ask for now. But in the moment, they were getting 5s and 6s and 4s, and people were being racist. They were like, "Oh, this is just Japanese garbage," and I'm like, "Bro,
yes,
guys." So that's an aside about the power of the narrative affecting whatever it is you're trying to do, which we'll get around to. But yes, Sony is trying to do, like you said, doing what Microsoft is not doing, and failing at it. But then again, there's also like narratives around that because like so Sony themselves, because they can no longer afford to keep making the $450 million AAA game, are making less games. But the narrative is still that Microsoft has no games, while Microsoft is centering indie games, which are sustainable. Indie games, AA games are actually sustainable, can be made, and will hook the audience, give the audience something to do. But still, there's no games. Sony's actually literally putting out no games except for like Stellar Blade and Monkey Game, and these are not their games. They're other people's games. And so it's like Sony's not putting out a AAA besides like Astrobot. You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting. Like the live service thing, I think they thought that AAA game. Yeah, it seemed like they must have thought that live service is cheaper than the $500 million AAA experience, because, and I think it's like a misunderstanding of what the most popular games are, because you see like the most popular games are always like the odd indie title or like the shooter on whatever, the extraction shooter or what have you, the streamer friendly group horror game or something like that, or like a super grindy Warframe like game like First Descendants or whatever. First Descendant, excuse me. And I think that they thought that has to be easier than what we're doing, so let's just do that. And it's not necessarily easier without the infrastructure. Yeah, as the corporate disconnect is real. It's costing people their jobs. They're marching things out to fail. I feel bad for the guys who did Concord. I actually enjoyed Concord. It just cost money. It should have been free to play. It should have been part of your subscription. It should have been
in-game purchases, free to play with loot boxes.
Free to play with loot boxes. They should have made it not exclusive. Everyone should have been able to play it. The game had legs. Did it get a lot of negative reception also because it did the thing where they had all aliens, no white men? That also didn't help. That also, you have to then spread your game out really far if you're going to go ahead and irritate the anti-woke people who don't like the wokeness. What is that? What is I gotta get the definition of woke changes every 6 months, and Merriam-Webster doesn't track it. And
so the reason why I've done it this way. There is the actual definition, which is the waking up to what blackness means as a black person. That hasn't changed.
That has not changed.
Then there's whatever the fuck that white people
right. But
think.
the what it encompasses, because at first it used to mean black people stuff, and then it meant gay people stuff, and then
it actually went black people stuff to being too pro-black.
Uh-huh.
Because you know that one part where you just like you get so pro-black that you forget that things exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it went from that, which I blame us for, by the way.
To be clear, that's not the white people's definition. The extreme pro-black.
I'm not done. I'm not done. You know how when black folks are talking and white people overhear and they don't understand any of the context and they come up with their own shit?
Yeah.
So they saw us making fun of the two pro-black people.
Yeah.
And they saw us doing that and started using it to call anything too black woke. And then it became a replacement for diversity, like not the way it is now, but like as in like anything that's an identity thing, that, you know, like a pro social identity thing. So queer shit, any of that shit, it became for that. And now it's literally just a replacement for any like diversity period, DEI, like anything. So, and now and what I mean by that, it's like anything that could go against what you know, the cis white hetero male TM patriarchy man, not whatever. It goes against anything that could go anything remotely against that.
Oh, okay. So now it's like,
does that trajectory make sense?
yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's like the term has expanded kind of like an organism like the blob to encompass all white male discomfort at anything.
Yes.
And it the scale of it, what they use it for now is for literally anything that isn't about white men at all, like in a binary. Like if it's not about me and I'm uncomfortable at all, it is woke.
Yes.
And therefore we can bludgeon it. I don't have a high bar for white folks. I don't. Historically, you shouldn't. It's safe.
Under the ground.
It's a safety issue mostly. It's a safety issue. But to see the bar descending into the earth slowly is like I don't expect, like I feel like, and people always point this out, that like we were letting these things happen years ago. Like Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo and Patrick Swayze were drag queens in a very popular movie 30 years ago. We didn't like, is it things that we just didn't care? We had.
Do you want to?
What?
Do you want to know my favorite thing? I'm adding to this. There is a document going around about what games are too woke.
Oh,
it
yeah.
is a whole I'm sure you've seen it. It's a whole document. One of the entries in there, because one of my friends has been going through the document just laughing his ass off. And he just like, he didn't tell me what game this was, but he's like, the game is, what they put in there for their description of it being too woke, the reason why it's too woke is that it has a lot of leftist propaganda, and a pregnant girlfriend is killing people, and you kill, and there's attack, like I think it's like attacking Nazis. I stopped and I went, "Is this Wolfenstein?" And my friend was like, "Yeah, that's Wolfenstein." And I was like,
Yo. I'm looking at the list while you were talking. Call of Duty's on this shit.
yes. No, I'm serious. I'm just like,
yo, how you have Call of Duty on this list, nigga? Even the gay people.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, like, you know, is it gay to have sex? Like, I'm feeling like that right now with this list and like the word woke. I'm just like,
wow.
Is it woke to play video games?
Wow, they listed every game.
I'm just saying, like, listen, white people need to be oppressed so fucking bad. What'd you find?
Like, I'm just Dark Souls, whole series. Helldivers.
Okay, my favorite part about Helldivers is like, it's too woke of a game, right? But it's also the Patriots' dream.
Right.
So, like, it hits both camps of people, and this is hysterical to me. I love Helldivers for this.
Portal?
Portal's got a lady. The Portal's lead is a lady.
Yu-Gi-Oh? Every Yu-Gi-Oh game?
Yu-Gi-Oh's run by Negroes. I don't know what to tell you. They're very afraid of Negroes.
Wait, no, Yu-Gi-Oh's not on there.
Okay.
Hold on, wait. How's BioShock 2 not on this list? And how is BioShock 2 is anti-capitalist? Wait, what? BioShock. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I see. These lists are okay. What? Forza Horizon 5?
Wait, what's the reason for Forza Horizon 5?
Contains overtly pro-LGBTQ messaging. pronoun selection, including an option for they, them. Uses unlabeled presets instead of clearly defined male and female options during character creation.
It's a racing game.
It's a racing game.
You just race.
Yeah, Wolfenstein's here. Rainbow Six Siege is here.
Wait, what's Rainbow Six?
It contains overtly pro-LGBTQ messaging, overtly pro-DEI messaging, features many diverse and LGBTQ plus characters. It does, though. For the record, everybody can get in there and start shooting each other for whatever government they represent. Like, anybody can do it. So, in the biggot's defense, there is a wildly diverse characters of narcs, mercenaries, and police and authority figures. And
we love diversity and narcs. We love our diverse narc team.
But yeah, I know. Far Cry 6 is on here, and yeah, I get it. Yeah, it features a trans character who's undergone a full double mastectomy. Villain is brutally executed in a series of calling a character a tomboy, and that character a tomboy, and her, and yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why I like Far Cry 6 is because it actually had real brown people and real queer folks and an actual yeah,
So I think my favorite part about the Wolfenstein one is that they don't mention that she's black.
Well, I mean, they say pro DEI. They say pro DEI. So they don't. They know they'll get in trouble for saying it, so they just say pro DEI. When there's a black person, there's pro DEI.
I just thought it was really funny, and also like I literally. So I grew up with Wolfenstein. It's literally one of my favorite series. But like when I was growing up, literally people would be like, "Hey, guess what? I'm gonna play Wolfenstein because it's illegal in Germany because it's got Nazis and you can kill Nazis." To maybe we should just I think it's really strong messaging that it's just killing Nazis, and I'm like, you can kill the KKK in there too.
Yeah, that was
that pregnant girlfriend's throwing is an Afro queen throwing Molotov cocktails. Bite me.
That's right.
I love her.
And the new Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Deborah Wilson.
I love her.
No, we all love Deborah Wilson.
We all love Deborah Wilson.
Yes, I would like to shake Deborah Wilson's hand.
Same.
I wonder if we can have Deborah Wilson on the show.
Maybe I would love to have Deborah her Wilson on the show. I would die if she were on the show.
Just so we could spend an hour just gushing about how awesome Deborah Wilson has been. Like since Mad TV, like she's always been great.
Yes, no, 100%. It would just be fan. It would just be fanning.
It's not.
I don't visually like fan at people ever, but I would fan at her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, she's
100%.
She's been too good and getting better for too long, and she's like.
This is like if Deborah Wilson has a fan club, it's us.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. This list is so many games. I appreciate that they said BioShock 2 has no woke content. It is powerfully anti. It's all about the ills of capitalism, and yeah, it's very political. I just find it very strange. Like there's, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the bar. Like maybe that's not it. It's just like the people. It's just the identities that are in the games that are making these lists.
But there isn't BioShock 2 the what if black people like isn't that one the one that has pro-black messaging in it? But then it turns out it's too pro-black.
That is BioShock Infinite. BioShock Infinite, I believe, would also fall under by this metric, it would fall under. Yeah, it does. This is woke content because there is a black character and it's pro-black and anti-slavery until
it's also anti-Mormonism.
Yes.
You're literally fighting against racist Mormons.
BioShock Infinite contains overtly anti-Western society and overtly pro-DVI messaging. Columbia's residents are hyper-exaggerated racist caricatures of 19th century Americans, heavy social commentary on racism. What I read about 19th century Americans is that these are not caricatures in the slightest bit.
At all.
And, yeah.
They just act like that. Actually, it was the social norm.
It was barbarism. Yes, barbarism towards people of color was the social norm, and yeah, they acted upon it with vigor, glee, just like these people. Which is why the decision to then do the whole anyone who wants to kill people is bad thing. The racist can be just the anti-racist can be just as bad as the racist. We really can't.
So much for the tolerant left.
We can't. Yeah, we can't. You understand? It would require several decades of wanton violence for that conversation to have any value whatsoever. But again, that's not this type of show, nor is it this kind of conversation. Anyway, the anti-woke people, now that we've defined woke to mean literally anything that makes a white man uncomfortable on earth, including like Eggs Benedict, possibly. We'll see. and
and by that we mean white men, as in the patriarchy.
Yes, the ones who cis straight white men who are really, really subscribing to this, overtly or covertly. Yes, everything to them is woke, which is fine. We have the woke database here, which every game is woke. And, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I see why the Gen Zers have taken to just calling this all very weird, because knowing Gen Zers now, looking at them, looking at those people do that, gyrate wildly in the face of, humanity, must look very weird to them. Like, I feel like that's a sentiment from the heart. It must look weird to Gen Z people looking at some of these folks just cringing, just wilting in the face of the presence of other humans' ways of thinking.
I wish it were just, I mean, I know too many Gen Z folks who are part of this, so like I can't just say like Gen Z calling is weird, but I am here for calling.
I thought the weird thing, like there was the movement to call the bigots weird started with them, and then we adopted it.
No idea.
Oh, I think it started with them.
But I do know that Gen Z has I'm too much on Tumblr and I'm too aware of Tumblr.
You're our correspondent then.
Gen Z is also got some weird.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying they were without it, but I think the response to it is a little different than our response to the weird when we were the same age. And there is you can find a group of black kids to then fold their arms and then kind of exclude the racist kids. And that was not always the case, except in places like New York where you had huge concentrations of Negroes. So we could, in fact, stand there and look at the racist kids and then make them very uncomfortable, and then they would flee to their lairs or wherever they generate racist energy. I don't know. The nest, whatever. So
yeah, the kids are in a weird part of let's take consent not consent. Let's take the messaging around consent and whatnot all to the point of actual Puritan shit.
Yes. They're having their own culture war. But I think
it's a very strange culture war where I'm just like, no, that is not what grooming is.
No.
Words mean things, child.
Yes. It is interesting.
Also, fantasy is not real.
No. But that's again another topic for another program. But let's see.
We need a jailer for that one.
Yeah, we would need to import various experts in their fields. I think we touched on Sony marching things out to die. We touched on Concord failing developers, which is unfortunate, wasting their time, and it's a black eye for them. Warner Brothers did the same thing with Suicide Squad. If Suicide Squad was a single player game, it would have sold very, 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 very well. But Erica, whose kind of job is like loosely related to this, is always pointing out how corporations are filled with people who are not attached to the things that they are selling. Like, there's a certain aversion to it. Like when I went to go see, like I know a lot about like the 2K YouTube verse, like 20-year-old niggas who cover 2K, get paid. A bunch of them get paid a lot of money. They interact with each other. They create lots of drama. It's like some type of high school, young adult novels about this shit. And I realized that I know a lot about this just because I wanted to see what NBA 2K looked like. And knowing that you wind up going down the rabbit hole, and I, as a 41-year-old, don't really care what 20-year-olds who are making $20,000 a month playing 2K on the internet are doing. I don't care. But you learn through osmosis, and I think that, like Erica's always explaining that, those people are averse to that type of organic learning about how the audiences for the thing that they're selling actually work. Like that bit. Knowing exactly how games are popular, how it moves, how things actually work, who doesn't like it. You would know if you paid any attention at all that ain't nobody trying to play a live service game in 2024. Not nary a soul. Nobody. So
no.
I mean, you would have known that years ago, but you're avoiding it, and it's like the disconnect is always amusing because then the most popular games are like by small indie studios or like one dude making one game. Like the dude who did Only Up had to shut down Only Up because he's like, I'm one dude and you guys are assholes. One guy. But yeah, so we will move on. I think right now, as a start, I think we are good to go. There is nothing that is sticking out to me right now this second. Eventually we'll have to get around to some of the indie games that we've been playing. I've been playing a bunch of them. There are too many of them. We need to get down to the bottom of you owing me yet another $25 because every time you tell me to look at a Nintendo Direct, they announce a Castlevania game.
I don't have $25. I'm broke, which is why you should subscribe to our Patreon because that money has been literally going directly to buying me groceries.
That is patreon.com/unfridays. So patreon.com/unfridays. So you can support. We will begin the process of adding now that bacon is now that it's fall and it's not unseasonably hot and slowly killing bacon.
Yes, I can be upright for more than like an hour.
Right.
It's bacon. Great. I'm not stuck in my bed.
Right.
Or sitting at my desk with a heart rate of like 160 and unable to think.
Exactly. So aside from meals and whatever general support Bacon needs and the upkeep of the podcast, Bacon owes me now $50 for instant release Castlevania games that I buy because I look at Nintendo Directs.
Put that $50 to the Patreon. That is how we will pay Aaron back.
Yes, because they dropped another one, so now every Castlevania game I believe is available, and I own them all, and yes. So, give me my money. I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Have a pleasant day.